Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. So we've got some in-progress work. I'm trying to do some keyboard interaction stuff. We've got a report that capitals don't work with auto-open text, which actually kind of conflicts with I actually didn't turn that off for keyboard mode. And we've got an appearance of another new mod, which I want to mine for inspiration. So we just turned off auto update, added the zoom feature. Now, one of the things he did, it's a little bit interesting, is he kind of made his own, kept most of the stuff in his own little code, which is not a bad way just to add some functions. And depending on touch the make file, but I do that anyway for the names list. I guess the only thing about that is that it kind of makes all of these things specific to this mod version a little bit. So it wouldn't be as easy to lift a patch out. Coord indicator. Yeah, I've been avoiding the sort of more direct cheat things like that. Age indicator. Is any focused is focused. Maybe that's in VOG mode or something? Oh, he might be using text fields for some of his data reports. Hotkeys for remotes. Let's just key down. So it looks like he's seeing 0 to 9 instead of the F keys. I don't know. Emote keys might be a thing worth doing at some time. Although I'd be more tempted to do like a control and mnemonic letter or something like that. Oh, and actually we did this. Move to draw code. Okay, help page. I mean, in-app help would be a nice thing. Especially if I do the keyboard mod. Is this emote hotkeys or is this use tile, drop tile relative to me? Yeah, now these are his version of the keyboard mode. Which is like up, down, right. Maybe he was testing with left. WASD movement, which, and I think Jason was specifically avoiding that because of the number of server messages, but half the time you end up spam clicking anyway. Switch drop tile. I guess the color rainbow is so you don't have to pick a color that might not work on the current background. Chord improvement. Permanent emotes. He switched space to well, toggle's an interesting idea. So he has his own set emote. Oh. Yeah, does it keep resending the command? Keyboard movement improvements. Ah, he was faking mouse down before, so we switch it to actually use force ground click. Looks like he has a different tab setting. Which is this really comes down to my distaste for tabs in general. Bug fix. This looks like emote related stuff. Keyboard backpack control is one of the things I've been thinking about doing. So this might be a place to look for some inspiration on how to do that if I get stuck anywhere. Let me just Q and Shift Q. Click yourself is something I'm already working on. Huh. You know, I was still having some trouble with it. I assumed send X, send Y would do that, but maybe rounding would be appropriate. Still, I think when Jason doesn't, he does that, unless there's some rounding in some other code. Oh. I might not be doing that. Self-key eating animation. Although I think it does. Feature is left-right click with keyboard. So this is covering the same features as that? Set next action message. So he's got this like helper function that does, oh, all the coordinate translation. Well, and sets mouse over spots. Interesting. I wonder if the mouse over spots are affecting anything. Settings for the keys, which might be going to look into the keyboard mod. Okay, yeah, using this. Huh. So what is pound in protocol? So I was generally, well, goodbye process. Generally copying examples. CD game source. CD game source. Living life page. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was copying that in the self command. Now I do have some other commands that do I use? Yeah, that got it. Okay, so that's something I have to be mindful of in the future. Action. Oh, this is the left-right support, which he does with Command and Shift keys. If Command key... Not Shift key and Command key. Action beta. Action alpha. Yeah. So that's how he's fitting that all into one. Because like the other keyboard mod was multiple keys. This is doing a modifier key on those directions rather than a two keystroke. Which might make sense in some situations, but if you're alternating actions, then the keys get really complicated. Ah, yeah, so all the keyboard things for that. Yeah, I think he kind of like wraps a living life page, which is interesting. Don't care about containers. Is char key. Okay. Yeah, so I'll look the is it key testing. And then here's all the help. And I didn't see those functions go in. Maybe it was used preparing for them. More remote stuff. A way to stop on a road. Drawing player names. I might want to have that be a toggle or a hold or something. But it's certainly an interesting idea. Living life step. Lost Scholar! How's it going? Were you playing One Life today or something else? I'm unfortunately, I'm down in the code a bit. I'm looking at whatever's mod to see if there's some inspiration. Oh yeah, I think that's been a few weeks, but thank you. RimWorld, aha, yeah, I've seen that a few times. So let's just rearrange some code. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in normal working hour-ish. So if you're on some odd schedule, you might not see it as much. So yeah, the closed doors thing. I might want to find if there's a way to identify a door by properties rather than hard coding them. Uh-oh, well, I'm sorry you get no sleep, Obs. I'm also feeling pretty tired myself. Yeah, so that's an interesting idea that I might be able to get behind. Auto open doors. Now, I think there was another thing that avoids dangerous animals. Maybe I missed that. I saw something about it. I might have skipped it over another patch, which might be a bit much. Store withholding. This gives you the food preview of something, which I mean, I'm kind of okay. You have to eat something to see how filling it is. And it on birth. Yeah, because things get reset versus when the game starts up. Hmm. Seven ads back to back. Oh, you mean single D ad? That is pretty crazy. Yeah, last I had ads, I don't remember more than one at a time. I mean, maybe they were really short ones? I don't know. Hey, draw chords. This is improved visual chords, added key toggle. Okay, that's refactoring. RLive, yeah. I mean, that's something you pretty much need all the time. I mean, I can sort of see how you don't want it to get out of date. But you do have to grab it all the time. That's drawing age. Game. Yeah, I mean, it was for a while. It was interesting to kind of see what was going on. Well, I mean, I think uBlock is on most things. I have it on mainly for the malware lists. I'm still uncertain about the whole ad thing because that is how people are trying to monetize. So it's. And Twitch is a service I use, so I'm a little bit more permissive with them too. Although I do actually pay for it to get rid of the ads. Fixed hunger slip and created the README, which has more of a feature summary. Okay, so that is, we can keep that around in case we want some inspiration. So first up, I've got an outright bug. And I don't think we've had a client update. Let me just double check. Build, Windows. I think 2.15 was the data, 2.14 was the program. I think. Oh, shoot. And I've had a bunch of IP addresses changes too. I need a server to test this. Which I don't have up right now. Last week's server might be good. Well, the client update. The client update come out during the stream last time. Let's take a quick little look. Well, I should also get the server going. What's happened if I had downloads, programming, whenever one life. just do build server fetch, see if anything updates. There was an update. It might have been the client. I'll rebuild it just to be safe. And then I wanted to check. Ooh. Games. One life. Binary. 215. But the data should be the same? I think. Because the data update and then he pushed off the program update. So I think that this is going to be okay-ish. Oh. No, the binary here is 212. And we can fix the binary easy enough. Oops. So it doesn't complain. And then I'm going to need a server running before I can run this. What do I want to check about it? Double check the capital's not working. All right. Package server. Package server run. Now my IP addresses are uh-oh. What? I must have had the wrong file open here at some point. Because there is no reason for that file to have that text. Package server run, package server Docker file. Yep. Okay, package server run. Oh, and we've got a cache because of data. Oh, yep, and this is where, and apparently that name is not resolving. My setup is extremely weird right now. I got new internet, but kind of the best place to bring it into the house wasn't the best place to get to it right now. So until the cables come in, I am essentially tethered to my laptop on Wi-Fi, which has been looking okay so far. And it does not seem to be giving up. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it probably assigned itself on that interface than there. So we just get to see what you are. What is that? 3. Bridge. That doesn't have an IP address. That's a bridge. Well, what's my address? IP. Oh no, my address is. Oh, that's the server. So that's probably the gateway, actually. However, you just don't want to die. You're like connecting to something here. Name. So settings, custom server address. 2.2.1. There we go. And there's, yeah. For some reason, it's like, and I've never figured this out, it's like the dead bodies when I close turn into boars. All right, so if I say I, we go into there. If I say capital I, oh, because it's already open now. Nope. That's specific to I. Weird. No, open box. Yeah, there's something specific with capital I that is not getting carried over. Living life page. Oh, I need to make sure I'm on the right patch. STG series. STG. Open safe field on typing. Isn't there like go to? Didn't complain. Okay, cool. It's going to reload. All right, so we're most likely looking for, aha. And I did, in fact, miss say capture on that. Oh, and M and N, but because in VOG mode proper, I disable all this stuff. But if you started with these letters, I still have to capture them. And this is awkward because I essentially have to capture this on any character that would have been handled here. And that's their VOG command. Well, VOG command is fine itself, because that's going to disable it. I essentially want to capture any letter that gets caught here, and then do something if we don't catch it there. And we have to preserve that buffer. So could I capture any key that did not hit the default? Could I just capture the key regardless? And then not use that if we hit default? I guess I could have default just set a flag, and then I could determine what to do if it was handled by the main routine or if it was not handled by the main routine. So this is our function. And this is our switch. So we would want something like key handled by case. We're going to assume true. And then in the default case, we're going to say key handled by case equals false. And then we come to, we still want the break. And then we're going to come down here. We're going to say, actually, the way he indents, yes. If not, well, if key was handled by case, I might actually want to exclude some of the VOG stuff from this. We will have to try it out. Jason uses 4. If it was handled by case, then we want to do, not shift up, control up. Yeah, that was one of, there's probably been some other things that were directly inspired, but that was, I know I definitely got that idea from him. Probably something, I imagine it's something I would have come to eventually, but he was definitely ahead of me in a lot of stuff. Oh, slash? Yeah, slash, I don't think I'd need to worry about. Tab, I don't need to worry about. Oh, so there are some keys in here that I may have to specifically exclude, but that might be easier because like I've clearly forgotten about things here. So now we do say capture, and now we should be able to take this out of all of these. Now he's going to make command going. Make, we'll make and copy onelife.exe to build Windows. Actually, the way I'm using these build, since I'm not actually using the normal build process, I'm copying the game directories. I might not need to put it here and worry about having to search through all the files. Yeah, there's still a lot of files. All right, we need one life. 214 was the directory. Oh, rm living life page.dep. So we rebuild that. All right. Ooh. Okay, so that is not fixed capital I, of all things. What's fog mode? M and N, yeah. So what are we doing here? Oh, I did not. Key handled by case. Key handled by case equals true. Are you returning? Oops. You're breaking. That shouldn't be blocking it, though. Now I'm pointing at the right executable here, right? 214. Oh, you know what? I'm probably just typing I. You actually have to type I something for it to pick up. And realize you're trying to type instead of just doing something. Okay, and you have to type fast enough. And oh, I space does not do it. It has to be a letter specifically. Is alpha. But that's a very special case. And say capture. So it's like I have to go through here. I have to consider this case a little bit. Or it's a space and this is true. Or in ASCII equals space and there was a letter there. Actually, we do need this still. And we're going to need an extra parenthesis. Oh, and I copied too much. All right. Let's get out of here. Oh. Oh, no, I parenthesized this. Right, and then all of the ands need even more parentheses, more parentheses, more parentheses. They shall be like the poo in the sheet pens. Nope. So if I get it open, yeah, okay, so shift space is recognized. And this, oh no, MN doesn't do it either. Yeah, so it's not just space. It's any... I'm actually just missing something. And this, in these cases. All right, key handled by case, %C in ASCII, key not handled by case, operator M. Oops. All right, back to base level, stand out. Oop, that's text. Key handled by case. Okay, for consecutive letters. That means the space. Right, they're all, so if you like do I am or I'm, that would get excluded. Or in. Now, all of these are actually specifically VOG things. So we could remove some of the ambiguity by going back to case by case and only including it in the situations where it did something. And if the preconditions fail, then I just kind of move that into the box. Actually, that could work better with the key handled flag because you can go through the case and then still hit this down here. Just that this has to become false. And we have to say, did you actually do something with it? However, like VOG mode, if you press V, well, if not, say field focus and connected and VOG mode on, it matters. If not, it doesn't. And then we do the VOG mode check. So I guess kind of close to where we were editing things before. Well, probably it's just a little bit better up here. Or after the condition, rather. Key handled by case equals true. And then this. Say field is focused. This is only if we're in VOG mode stuff, which before I just blanket deactivate it in VOG mode. Saving speech enabled, we don't even need to care about. This gets handled in the case, but it doesn't do anything most of the time. E key down is really just a flag. Oh, but we would want, yeah, if it ate this by doing something with it. Not say field is focused. Tab. Tab I use for other purposes. I don't think it's really going to care on this one. I never really got in the way before. this already does set text and focus, so I think it's fine, and that's the speak command itself. Okay, and a new life. At least the pegs seem to be gone. Ah, so now we can open up I directly. We still get VOG mode, we still get this. We can also, well, no, V is always going to do VOG mode. There's no way around that. If you type a capital V, you're in VOG mode. Assuming that flag is on, but only if the flag is on. We can also do NM. Those are fully functional. We can do I'm. I just works. Lowercase I just works. Oh, I guess the E key is not on, because I thought that was like a right click. Oh, well. Well, it wasn't activating the text box. M E key enabled. E for, yeah, okay, so it's not even really on. Wait. So we wouldn't even have to eat that key if we checked that. Is there an, well, using Steam is kind of the same thing. So I guess for parity with that, so now it's not even going to be recognized as a modifier key if it's not relevant. So in this case, we don't even really want to react to space, but I don't have a good way to do that now. So, okay, so E was already not doing anything, but this should make it so it can immediately pop up if you're not using that modifier. Okay, cool. All right, so get status, we have changes. STG refresh. STG series, we were working on, well, export is a specific range. Get status, branch master, yes. So this is something we're definitely going to want to publish at some point. STG export custom git ignore to fix mushroom death. Should have been the last one. All right, and then patches master. Nope. changelog. This will be v17 at some point. Fix certain characters for auto open, say, notably and probably like I, M, and N were all implicated there. And then we'll worry about versioning in it when we know exactly what's going on. I just wanted to do that. All right, back to, okay, standout, we don't need, oh, I just included the printfs in that. STG, go to open, say, field on typing. Work. STG refresh. STG. Oh, actually, I didn't have to go. I didn't go anywhere yet. Export. Okay, and then STG series. STG go to. Maybe I did. No, actually, that's what I publish. Where was I working? Probably interaction modes. Well, back to the notes. We think we fixed that. We can do a quick check on eating animation. It's possible I didn't include that. Emote hotkeys is going to be a big thing. In-app help is going to be a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. So really, it's kind of back to looking at keyboard interface that was really just not finished. I might need to go back and do some notes on that. Interaction modes. I think I was just revising this one. Oh, I may have had to include some of that that stuff. Okay, so get status, STG status, conflict, STG series. We are in interaction modes. Is this the start or the end? That was Z key. Oh, I did have to rewrite that a bit, apparently. So what we're going to have to do is say it was handled by here. No, actually, in this case, it's always going to be handled. Oh, no, this was an else. Right, because I was trying to keep the patch smaller. And then I added new keys. Let's see, so this is user twin code. Also grabbing a key, and you should say that we did something with this, and I should double check that in the other one. Okay, so what was that? That was Z. Say capture, oh, and this C needs, if not focused, we definitely treat this as, it's key handler case. And this one is use on self. Well, there is their test here. Is there any situation? Yeah. And what was it? C? No. I'm not. Oh, this may have been two different versions of it. Because it was what? V? Yeah, so this is my other version. So we need to make sure, and then say capture, oop, and then A was a work in progress. Oops. And F was a work in progress. We need to make sure that compiles. All right. I'll do a quick check. Now, I've forgotten exactly where I left some of my features. I might want to get my notes and write down what I was working on. You're still alive. All right. So we've got, that was control. Okay. Wait. Uh-oh. Okay, I don't know if it was this patch or the previous patch, but something broke there. No. Yep. I'm doubling them now. Anyway, I know I was working on A for move. It's not activating it. If we type some, well, yeah, this is the way I'm going to have to disable the say capture for this mode. And that's a use. I don't think I have a drop yet. Yeah. And we have use on self, which that reminds me. Well, I can check that in the code. So now is this a bug with that thing itself or with something that I added here? Well, we think we got this back a bit. Key ends up by, oh, nope, there's still a say capture here. It merged them. It thought it could merge them. And I thought I was searching for this. I guess I didn't wrap around enough. Oh, so this version actually did have the say capture for those. Maybe I added it to the wrong patch. Except now I have to go back and double check. my ignore patch. Oh no, it said it was added by this patch. So that was something I put into the wrong difference here. Oh, and then you ended up picking up my printfs as we moved around. All right, so because this was a conflict, we have to git add game source living life page, and then stg refresh, stg status, stg series. Can I stg show open say field on typing just to make sure? I didn't leave any say captures there. Okay. And I did see that water note come up. All right, I need to remember what the heck I was doing. Oh, we can do a quick check on the eating animation. That's a pretty easy one, probably. So that was his. I probably picked it up from here. Yeah, okay, so I'm covering that on C, and I'm covering that on V. All right, so this is, well, we kind of got our keyboard modes down here. This was Zed's keyboard mode. Yeah, so my actions for this. So we've got like prototype, modifier mode. We had, I think, was he something? Yeah, it was move mode. Z was move mode. Oh, is this the? It's. I might have one that had notes on this, but Z was move mode, and then we went over and we did X, which I think was use mode. I just kind of got the keys next to each other. Interact default. I mean, we kind of ended up with two C cases. I think that means essentially use. And then C was use on self. Yeah, so we had move mode. Oh no, this is the release. So X. Yeah, interact object, yeah. And then my sort of weird hybrid mode, I was starting with A was Well, this is more set up this way. Not necessarily as good as a key map. Is A to go to self, eat self, drawing some inspiration from Zed's mod. F would be, yeah, use at. No, F. Oh, no, not, that's use object. I never got to use self here. This would just be use on tile. So we had F, we had A, and that might be as far as I got on this. No, I think V was his use on self. So we had two of them. So I was playing with that. So F is use at cursor, V is use on self, A was that. And then I think I kept one of these. And Zed's mod. If we're looking at this. Yeah, so A was a run, so I did move. Use held object. Clothing is rare enough, I could probably handle with default clicks. F was use. D was drop, which we would just do as drop at cursor. But now that we've remembered what these are, let's just see what the state of this was. As of yet, I have not reused any of the keys from modifier modes. I need to remove them per se. Let's just make sure we're compiled just in case. Yep. Just moving stuff around. Now, I think I still had some trouble with my use on self button before. Not as much. All right, so this would be to move. I might want to see about a run or something to, or do detecting double tap on that. I mean, hold might work. I just have to track the held state of it. And then we have use, which, that's not the greatest object to use. We don't have a way to drop yet. So use that, use on that, and these are all, well, I don't have a good example here. I could use this, I could, well, just drop there, use that, and if I stand down here, that is going to use the object, not caring about the person. And what I don't get about from this, which I do get from my modifier key, is the ability to highlight the object so it's more obvious what you're doing. Some of the other things I was playing with. Now it does this. Yeah, I can go pretty fast. Okay. Because I know in Zed's mod, you could like pound through stakes really quick. And if we do eat mode, I think that, yeah, that played the eating sound, so it should be good. So I think my problem with this, ooh. Okay, so we need to reset the next action eating flag. Or is this just a problem? Yeah, I think we need to reset the next action eating flag somewhere. How does Jason handle that? Well, this could be a little bit smaller. Add new anim, add new anim. Is this in click detection, which I'm not running? No, that's pointer down. But we're not doing pointer down. Next action eating, next action dropping. So if we do any... Well, we have a use at. So we're just going to say, by default, if we do a use action, it's not an eat or a... Well, it might be if we're trying to feed somebody. No, this is always going to be an object interaction. This is always, always, always an object interaction. We'll worry about people later. All right, so if we go down here, eat a berry. And yes, we're attempting to use nothing, which... Maybe I should just no-op it if there's really nothing here and your hand is empty. And I have to decide if I want that to be a drop. Because it's like empty hand or thing plus empty space in theory equals thing in space. But technically drop is a different thing at the protocol level. All right, so that took care of that thing. Drop is another major action we need. And if this, well, use at gets reused a lot. I don't know if drop is going to get reused a lot. Mod click on hit clothing. Interaction mode. Right, if mod click, this is probably the, yeah, and this did that thing. They went out with... Yeah. I guess I could maybe see, like, just dating being too official for some people, I don't know. Test I equals 0 or not holding anything. Wait. Not equal to 0, yes, it's a drop. Yeah. Well, you said something about a bunch of girls talking, so... You didn't say how old they were, though. So it could have been, a bunch of kids. And a bunch of teens. Yeah, so the interact object mode is still something I was a little bit uncertain about. So checks here include this. Next action dropping. And then there's special case stuff for here. Well, this is just action equals drop. That equals 0. Get, this is container. Oh, yeah, we might have to deal with containers too. We might have to deal with containers too. Although really I just want to attempt to drop on that location, and if it fails, it fails. Alright. Mod click on hit clothing. Oh, so this is going to add to own clothing container. Oh, that's a drop command, huh? But if we're going to do a... Okay, this has an index. If we're going to form this command whole cloth, we could also look at Game source, living life page, CPP. Yeah. Now he had the prefix. Oh, that lets you dig in containers. Yeah, so digging in containers might be something I have to deal with. So use, actually, want a little bit of this too, probably. All right, screen to world, click dest. This is use at, and this is where we go paste. Click dest x, click dest y. Actually, I think -1, because there was a thing about dropping doing that. Next action, dropping. And there might be some room to wrap some of this stuff up. All right, so we can pick up a berry, we can drop a berry. It don't even care. Now that still works. Oh. Oh, I need navigation on this, which is one of the things that useAt did. Check if we're close enough. Yeah. So this move next to code must have been reused among all possible actions. Oh, that's for use at distance things, which have I dealt with use at distance yet? I'm not sure I have. No, I know I did some testing with a bow, so I think I took care of that. Drop, I don't think is a use at distance thing. Yeah, that's a use from distance. So that might be the wrong bit of code. What I really need to do is find move near to. Well, it's not going to be move near to anymore. It's going to be can execute. I extracted that. Use on baby later, destiny not equal to 0. Use or drop modifier or pickup action. Yeah, so he's kind of like getting all this case together here. So I do kind of need a drop command. Or a drop at. Well, I don't know if I'm going to call it from more than one place. So what is this? Oh, this is the distance check. Else. Next action message to send. Oh, do we set player action target on a drop? If send in pointer down ooh, there's an RLive object action target too. Hmm. Or that player action target. So I can certainly see why Jason was abstracting some of these commands. I think, for the sake of consistency, and if we can find a way to combine more of this, well, still want to clear that, and then this is going to be, well, only if we get to execution. And then I don't think dropping is going to matter for a use distance, so we're always just going to do that. At which point the only reason to keep can execute is for consistency and searchability. Our live object 663. Oops. Oh, right, because I redid the end of that line. Oh, we have to find the header file again. It's a member. And you got big. We're in the H file. Which one do we cut off now? 695. Oh, because we copied the code down here. And that reset my window sizes. Thanks. And then right now, that's going to be right. I wasn't clearing my next action message here either. So we've got click dest, we've got that. Drop at. Yep, I always did that too soon. So maybe there's a better way to do this. I am doing some mods for 1 Hour 1 Life. I am trying to add a little bit of keyboard mode to it. Somebody did a much more aggressive keyboard mod, but I found it awkward in a few places. And there's another one that cropped up that did some WASD and stuff. So the basic interface, I am not doing movement. I mean, as much as I end up spam clicking sometimes, the basic game is organized around click to move. There are some mods that do WASD or HJKL, and that ends up sending a lot of commands to the server to do those incremental movements. Whereas the base one, you get 1 point, you get a path, and you're done. Although you still often end up spam clicking, which is why I have the auto run that I wrote. So the only problem is sometimes you'll be trying to like walk and you'll pick up an object that you didn't want to pick up. Or you will be, I don't have a good example here. I need to eat. Well, that's another thing. Like if I wanted to use that thing behind here in the default game, I would have to be somehow not hit my head or somebody else's head. If it was a small object and somebody was standing here, you couldn't even see it. So I've been doing a few things around that. In the other case you run into, and like I said, I don't have a good example, this isn't a crowded town, is you're carrying something, you're trying to walk around things, and you end up using it on something, and in some cases destroying the object. Or you're trying to navigate, and you just find you have a bean pod in your hand. Yeah. Oh, I hadn't heard of that case, but that's a interesting one. Yeah, so I have a couple of things. I think I know I have it disabled my main one. A thing where you're in lock mode. Yeah, so that is actually still enabled in this version. I think I turned it off because of some of my other things I was playing around with in the main one. It will ignore heads in lock mode, which works out pretty well. I still have to figure out how I want to do that. What I'm playing around now is with like this. I've had things that are buttons on clicks that I play around with, and one advantage of that is like when I'm in object mode here, I can also do lock screen, which is something that the button version would address. But I've got a move button, I've got a use button that does exactly use, which doesn't do anything here, and I've just added a drop button, which doesn't do anything. There, and this does, it always navigates. Yeah, I want to see if this needed to always navigate to as well. I'm not sure if it should do that or not. But now I am very, very deliberate about using or dropping, and I need to see about how swaps work. Okay, so swap is something else, and I might want to consider that. Because that is neither a use nor a drop in command-wise. If I right-click it, because it's the same object. They don't use, okay, so it is a drop command, but they have to be different objects. Because, yeah, swapping the same object won't really do anything. And then we've got the eat button, because you do that a lot. And that's one of my problems with the lock mode, is I would lock, I'd want to eat, and I'd be clicking on my head, and it wouldn't work. So this is still extremely experimental. There's a very high chance it will turn out to be too awkward to be useful. But I still get frustrated with bits of the base thing. Oh, and another thing, like default mod, tall parts of trees are ignored. I got really frustrated trying to go through swamps and just bouncing against trees. So I would say that drop key works. Well, I didn't test how it interacts with containers. Yeah. I did not test interaction with containers, because that might end up being... I might have to have a well, yeah, he had a separate key for containers, so I'm gonna have to see how that works out. I know I did have a problem with the keyboard mod container stuff. So, get me a basket. Oh. And I probably need to ignore some of these in VOG mode. Oh, that was only local at that. All right, so now I'm out of sync. That was a regular click. That was weird. Maybe my next action flags got messed up. Anyway, get me... I would prefer something larger than a berry, but it would work. Let's see, and there's my stone. So drop, pick up, put. Move over, please. Drop. Okay, so drop does a swap. And that's just interpreting the drop command. Nope. Give me another small object. Put it in there. Oop, nope, not that key. Pick up does the basket, and then I don't know. I might want use on empty space to be a drop. We'll see. But this is a very deliberate interface, so maybe if I miss something. And then, oh, okay, so drop does not pick up. In fact, I have no way to remove an object right now. Short of doing that. And then drop does our swap cycle, that puts it in. Okay, so drop is the command we want to... Yeah, I mean... I have trouble faulting Jason's choices in the UI. He's done a pretty good job of making everything work. But there are definitely places, like with the stacks of plates and bread, where or rabbit bones, where some things are a little bit less easy to figure out. Because he's made the interface more powerful to handle all those cases, you have to consider which mouse button you're using a lot, and I'm going back and forth between left and right and getting things mixed up sometimes. So what we have now is that drop is serviceable. Yeah, the game is in C++. I'm doing C++ mods. It's not a thing that's super friendly to doing any sort of outside code modification, so... and because we want it to be able to keep incorporating main game updates, you can't change things too much or it's going to be hard to merge. Maybe... if Jason ever calls it done, there'll be a big community refactoring project where we could add, Lua scripting or something. I don't know if there'll be enough demand for that. But, yeah, it tends to be extremely large functions that are kind of hard to get hooks into. So we've got a D. So yeah, take container. Yeah, so this is listing out protocol level, things that are different at the protocol level. And then Jason takes 2 mouse buttons and maps this onto all of that, which is kind of impressive when you come down to it. So the other one is take from container, which Zed did on S, and I'm just kind of taking that as a starting point inspiration. Yeah, and I see all of these things need that move too, which is kind of why Jason had it all in one routine. Click dust. So that is a remv action, and he has a prefix for it, which I'm not sure how that's going to work out. So this is from clothing. The slots let you auto-target permanent container objects. Well, we don't have the ambiguity issues here. We're sending a REMV, we're sending a pickup, we're sending a drop. Oh, and I might be able to avoid sending commands based on some preconditions of some of these things. That might be a thing to look at. We've got REMV. Holding ID equals 0. Slots is 0. Bare hand transition and pickup. Mod click to distinguish between bare hand transition and pickup applies. Container slots equals 0, and it's not permanent. If there's no bare hand, wait, not equal to null. Direct pickup, leave something on the ground. Yeah, so like I found that like in Zed's mod, like the use drop sequence was the opposite in the way I think of left click, right click in the base game. So that was interesting. Yeah, so the default action is REMV, and then the mod click is use, even though left click is normally use, and then right click would be like a REMV. So this is saying REMV 0, REMV %D. This is for clothing. That's hit slot index. So it looks like we want to pass a 0 for REMV by default. Oh, there's already a case for S. Well, I don't really care about that much. It would just kind of if we happen to have shift down. Now the problem here is that while we can do this, I might need the navigate to thing and the action target thing. Oh, you know what? I think I should just put a hard-coded -1 into there to say, hey, this is a parameter, but we're not using it right now. Yeah, so the nav2 and the action target stuff. So this is click dest x and click dest y. So this would work for a thing you were already next to, probably. So the other thing, well, okay, so one thing that's awkward about this is right click is pick up and right click is drop, so you can kind of have one button to cycle through things. This might be where I got confused with Zed's mod, in that you have to switch actions to pick something up and cycle. So this might be a case where I do want to say, well, if there's something in my hand, I'm going to do a drop here, because that's the thing that cycles, which effectively does the remove as well. And drop, you do, if you drop, I'm not sure I'm liking, because right now drop is cycle if you have something in your hand. I might do a little bit of special casing in my own. To make it intent empty my hand, intent get something out of the container if my hand is full, swap it. Because it's, I mean, the protocol is a good starting point, but really, I'm often thinking in intent, like, what is my objective by pressing this button? So we can test that without navigation just to see how that interacts. And I might need to abstract that like walk to and set action targets stuff. Because that's kind of becoming the common thing to all of this. Which is partly why Jason had it all together. Because he had to do a lot of the same stuff. All right. All right, so we've got... We need to... Oh, I have to clear some state by clicking, so I have to figure out what that is. Okay, so remv with the full hand does nothing. Drop swaps. So I think I am, in fact... Oh. Oh, no, doesn't do anything. And that means, let's see, so remv picks up that. Oh, no, that's swap. Oh man, so that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some of my own distinguishing because great, these are the underlying commands that do weird things, in my opinion, a little bit. I guess I sort of get that, okay, drop this, there's something else in there. Seems like remv should... So here's a weird thing. So you must be putting... So what it felt to me, like when you put something in and then picked it up, you tended to get the same object back. But this is saying if you use put it in and then remv 0, I wonder if that's part of the disambiguation that Jason's doing on what thing it sends. So that's hit a slot. Get num container slots greater than 0. If we're not holding anything, hit slot index. Where do we set that? I might just have to close this because it keeps getting too big. So this is some of my special case. SL. SL. Hit slot index. Hit slot index. Okay, so where the heck is SL? Ah. Get closest object part. So maybe get closest object part is... probably like object bank, maybe? Okay. Out slot. Oh, maybe -1 is a thing? I was seeing zeros for some reason. Oh, and I should see what he initializes SL to as well. Not equal to 0. R slot equal to I. It is uninitialized. Well, we can try that. So what if we put -1? I guess I could also look at the server code, see how it interprets things. All right, so pick up. Oh, there's still some state I have to fix. Put down, pick up. Okay, so yes. -1 might actually be the last item in that case. So that's not actually item 0. It's, 0, 1. And then pick up last item, which oftentimes is what you want. And then the thing I find weird is you have to drop to cycle, when really often what you're trying to say is get me the thing out of this container. And then drop would be put it in container. So I think I'm gonna reorganize a little bit away from raw server commands to intents. But other thing we still have to do is I need navigation too. Part of the point of this is that the keyboard mod, I always had to kind of move around next to things. And I like being able to just, like when you're forging, pick up thing, forge, drop thing, forge, pick up thing, forge. I'm drifting a little bit. So that's one of the things I'm trying to get back. So the drop at, use at is telling me that I might want to abstract. Well, okay, so this is a special case for use at. So the question is, do we want these functions to represent server commands with all of the requisite bits, with intent distinguishing done at our keyboard interpreter level? Or do we want the functions to represent the intents and do all of that stuff? Yeah, the only thing that's not easy to wrap up here, well, all right, so for use, we've got the use at distance that's a little bit ambiguous. But otherwise, if I moved this part to actually be last, I could clear the message, do all the action target, return the can execute, and then other code could say, okay, next action message to send is blah blah. Because remove is going to do all the same stuff. Or this is where, interesting, drop. What's the argument to drop? Hit clothing index. Add to own. Oh, it's a clothing index. Okay. That's probably its only use. Wait. Do I already have protocol open? How does he handle remove from backpack? Index of the container to remove from top of stack. Yeah, then SREM is clothing, which I kind of want to handle back. Well, I wanted to have a backpack button, but now we've got like two other pieces of container clothing. Um, so we've got two things going on. One is there's a bunch of duplicated code here, which I guess might be why it's all monolithic functions. So we've got this used at distance special case, which I'm not sure how to extract that. It's all in a use action, and I'm using use at is this the final action of auto run, maybe? For the F action, and yeah, okay, that might be it. And actually the F key also partially solves that because it says, hey, I want to do something here. So we've got move to, or we've got objects that can be used at distance, that's special to use. We've got, and then most of the rest of the code duplicated with drop, and probably duplicated if we pulled this out to a remove as well. Dest ID not equal to 0. That was something I was uncertain about. But that might actually solve one of my little problems. Oh, except I have to get dest ID and do all the map lookup stuff. That's why I wasn't considering that. Which I guess is the advantage of the pointer thing, is you can look it all up once. Alright, so we can get remove working by copy pasta. Which, since those are going to be more similar, would be a starting point. Oh, and we can already know it's going to complain about not having a method for it. Do I need the argument for this? For a keyboard mode, no, I'm just not going to deal with that. Nope. I'm forgetting my keys here. I think I ate up all of my... He likes to have lots of space. Now this is getting really duplicated here. I think it was remove. And this is a different way of building the -1, which we're just not going to deal with. I would not call this next action dropping. Hey, how about we call this? There's also some for what I'm doing, maybe I could try and set up have like use at and then like prepare for action at mouse or something. And then just do the command. All right, so we got walk, walk, walk. Oh no, that's walk. Remove from container. Yay! Okay, we can walk to it. Let's checkpoint that. So we've added a new method. Ooh, I've been copy pasting something here. Another reason to, yeah, we're doing this over and over and over again. Oh, now this is going to be done in the use case, though. So that's not, can't be all wrapped up into one. Not git commit. stg refresh. Buffer notes. Did I reload? Oh, I probably did buffer delete, not. Take from container s. Oh, examine is the other one that I thought was really cool. Because like you can't look at like certain objects like doors where there's a default interact on them of some sort. But our duplication's getting pretty bad right now. You know what? Buffer notes for this project. I need to more intent than protocol command, and I want to. We've already got check preconditions. And then intent is that stuff, and we need to refactor common bits. All right, so we're doing this over and over and over and over and over and over and over. But we do need to get two values out of it. Now I know he has like a point type. I don't know if that passes well. I guess I gotta wrap up like, use that mouse and such. Use itself is a little bit. Oh, I haven't even looked at move to. That doesn't. Yeah, that's not as much common stuff. Yeah, so the awkward bit is that we need two values out of here. So we'd kind of get into something that's almost like I still have to declare variables. I'd have to get these out. So we'd really only be saving like 2 lines. Unless I set up some sort of global variable to do the other commands. Because these are member functions, I'm not sure if I could pass a, well, there's probably a way, I just have to look it up, pass a pointer to a member function to say, okay, when you get there, do this. Because that way we could wrap things a bit. And the other bit was, can we somehow pull out the use at distance bit? It's like for most of these, everything down here, I guess I could keep these as top level functions for convenience and then just duplicate a little bit of the top level stuff. Because these do reference this, I would still have to make it a member function to make the helper. Move near to is already that kind of helper. Move to, move near to, he used char for the bool. So this is going to be a prepare for action message. And then at present, I will still have to duplicate that in use at because it might call move near to in other circumstances. Unless it called prepare for next action message instead. All right, so simple cases. This is not the simple case. Oh, also we actually have to, make the function. So I think this is move near to, which is copying a bunch of code. I guess I'd really want to take one of these simpler cases. Let me just above use at. Prepare for action message. Actually, I probably am missing some JSON style here. So I want to do all of this stuff. We remove the actual command and the special flag, and then now we actually have a reason to have that value because we want to tell people that we did something so they can decide whether to send their message or not. Then, for all of these cases, this becomes if prepare for action message, test X, click test Y, do this. So you actually need to be up here. And remove at. Looks just like that. And as we add other similar commands, it will reduce down to the same. Now this is getting back down to a manageable point where we could sort of include these directly in our keyboard handler, but this starts to set up a little bit of an API. Although maybe I'd also want to wrap up like the intent side of this at some point. Now we've not removed some of that duplicate stuff from useat. Although I think if we replaced move near to with prepare for action at, it'd pretty much do it. Well, this is the safe stuff. Let's check this out. Then we'll have an easy get reset if, or get checkout if that experiment doesn't work. Okay, new player. Yeah, so we're not checking for dest ID 0. That might be more of a top level thing. So I should have a basket, or we're checking for navigation, and navigation, and navigation. Anything I'm forgetting about? STG refresh. Now, if we go to useat, can we change this to prepare for action message? Prepare for action message. Oh, nope. There is a case here where we do not do that move. And we still have to do all of this stuff. I guess I could make a move flag, but... So there might be room for future code improvements here. All right, so on our notes, we've refactored the stuff that seems reasonable right now. And I feel like intent is going to be more important to making this usable. So back where we're doing like drop and remove. I might want to think about use on container if that should be a put, because that's kind of a drop. We can leave that one though. Unfortunately, this is where this is going to get messy. Because I'm going to need to look up tiles. I'm going to have to look at what I'm holding. So this is where I might get into like, you know, intent to drop, intent to remove type commands. Just get out of the keyboard handler, because this is already kind of big and obscures what keys do what. I'm also starting to want, well, no, because there's a handful of, you know, I don't want to touch the code I don't have to touch, but you could almost just skip the switch if a safe field is focused. There's a handful of things like tab or any untypable key probably that you would still want to do, but it could almost be a separate switch, and then you break it up and say, oh, say field focus, skip the rest. But that's might be too big of a refactoring. All right. I guess we can work this out here and see how bad it is. So I want to say that if we, well, no, I want remove to do a swap from holding something, which is a drop command. So that's not too bad to figure out. Are you holding something? Now, ideally, it would be, are you holding something containable? And the server will just say no, but remove from clothing container. Permanent container objects that have no, we shouldn't make distinction between left and right click, but we are making a distinction with intents here, so we don't have to be as distinguishing. So he's saying dest ID not equal to 0. Well, right now we just attempt to remove regardless. This gets more into preconditions. This is holding ID equals 0, remove. Mod click, holding not equal to 0, container slots. This gets into dest ID stuff though. Action equals drop. So this is the stuff I want to be looking at. I probably should set a mark for this. Drop, remove is the big one for me. So our live object, we're probably going to have, well, there might be one here. So these are all things that we might want to consider in the future. So then we go up here. If we're holding something, we want to attempt to drop. Else, we want to attempt to remove. But do we have? Yeah. Well, I may have had to grab next our live object here. Yes, I did. And something. That looks good. So I guess that one was off. All right, pick up nothing, and swap when I say remove from container. Now drop also does this. Now the fact that it's going to turn into drop and you're holding something means this we do want to check this at some point. All right, so the other thing I want is I want drop to be empty my hands. So if oh, now I have to know if it's container. So let's checkpoint this. Because the server does not interpret drop how I want to interpret drop. So dest ID, is that something we can go find? Dest ID equals 0. Click dest, map offset. Initially its closest cell. So dest ID is the key thing we need here. So we've already got this. We've done some math. But now, let's see, M are members. So that's fine. We already pointer. Well, I'm just going by tiles. I don't care about micro targeting stuff. If it's a seed and I click on a tile, I want to pick up the seed or whatever. So this might be worth functioning when we get down here. But for proof of concept, well, this does want to care about it. But this is what we really want to care right now. So I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff. M, convert that to map coordinates. We're going to assume we hit an object. If we're in our dimensions, then member map times map D. Now we have a dest ID. So all we care about now is if dest ID, I didn't do that, greater than 0, and now we can be looking up things like this. Dest ID not equal to 0, and there's container slots and space. Oh, I have to consider swap with container as well. What does that? Well, actually, swap with container isn't a thing. You can do it with an uncontainable object, I think. But yeah, maybe I want drop to be... Well, I don't know. I don't know if I have the power to do that. So yeah, I have to consider what is that command that swaps the objects. Anyway, if it is, well, it's a container with space, I definitely want to just drop it. If it's a container with not space, it doesn't really matter. Action won't succeed anyway. Actually, that becomes a use at. You are the else case. You are... No, yeah, it was a closing bracket. Dest num contained... mmap contained stacks. This is rewriting dest ID as well. Oh boy. So this is in pointer move. Pointer move. Pointer move. Get cell blocks walking. Move near to. Oh, so I actually already had this code a little bit. Move near to. Dest num contained. Is this map contained stacks? So this is caching the list of things that are contained in the object. So for me to know if it has space, oh, how did this, all right, this is the translation. Desktop contained. How do we mess this up? 401. I miss a, okay, that's that. And we need this for the condition. All right, so if I, okay, so drop does a, by default it's a pickup. And rem does a put down, so that's because I want the dust stuff there. So remove, if I say drop, it drops it. If I pick up this and say drop it, oh, okay, so that doesn't now, base game will swap. Yep. Just leave the cursor there, okay. Oh, no, that was a remove, which I probably don't want to do that. Oh, use basket. Do I want use to be a swap? Well, use on two objects, two different objects. Will not swap them. Drop normally will. Oh, that's kind of also, oh, pickup. Okay. So for a non-containable object, that swaps it. Actually, can I look at my... I changed tabs. So if I do, in the base game, a right click here, that is a drop command. For a non-containable object. So I don't know if there is a protocol method that would allow me to swap a small object with a basket. If I do this, doesn't do anything. It was a use attempt. Because being able to say, I just want to pick you up would be great. So dropping does pick you up. Using picks you up. SREM takes out. Drop always empties my hands. Use picks it up. I might want to think about what use does on empty tile. But I guess drop intent is nice. And right now, remove. Now remove is usually a put something in my hand action. So I'm not sure about that one. But I did want to do some of this distinguishing. So once again, we're getting two values out of this. So this is getting very ugly. Now we can so originally came from here, not equal to 0, and there's space. This is a remove command. Well, remove is only going to be valid at all if there's a container there, I think. Now drop is the thing that's doing the swapping, actually. So here's a question. As is, this will always issue a drop command. But in the base game, there has to be an empty slot to put it down before we can pick it up. So get me another small object. I need to practice this too. So remove, use, drop, pick up, drop. I need another small object. Swap me over to you. I have to take all these back. Oop, drop. And if I attempt a drop, no. SREM, nope, you can't say. And the base game stuff is going to reject that. So you can't say, that does not allow you to get past that limit. All right, so what we're saying is it was if we have something in our hand, our intent is to drop. This is only going to be a valid action. And what did, I'm forgetting what remove did. Did it just fail? If you had something in your hand. If you're holding something and there's places to put it down, we want to call drop. All right, so we're gonna need some space in the basket, and give me a minute to try this. So pick it up. Actually, I could remove that. So if our intent is drop it, it drops it. If our intent is remove, then nothing happens. Drop. Pick this up. If our intent is remove, we swap. Drop. And this should mean pick up. We're still, well, yeah, because it's still going to do one of these two actions. But it does not at least attempt to go drop it, which I think SREM does. Because I usually think of remove as a pickup action rather than a drop action, which is empty my hands. And then this. Right, this is containable. So we can't. So I'm going to have to look at the server code to see if there's a way to swap small objects. So this is, I'd almost call this proof of concept, but I'm not sure if there's, because there's two, I need to get 2 items out of every cell. I guess I could say is container with space for the 2 things I have right now. This is member data, so it would have to be a member function again. But I might want to wait on some of that abstraction until I see what other kind of conditions we're doing. All right, so cd server, I think it's supposed to be server.cpp. remv, that's scanning, type equals, and up, hand empty, remove from container to hold. Hand still empty, so this is remove. So if it was empty before and it's still empty, let's see what that does. And this gets very wide. Well, I never really expanded that window. Not too wide. We get our target. If not permanent, if it's not permanent and we have pickup age. So if we were unable to get something out of it, attempt to pick up the object. If it's permanent, considered a transition. So the condition here would be hand empty and still empty to do that particular kind of pickup. This is a pre-declaration. Returns true if succeeded. Held origin valid. Transition source ID is grid adjacent. Facing override. Next to us for now, no diagonals. Oh, get map object. That might be the kind of thing we want as a helper. Oh, but then we have to look up the contained. Yeah, well, then we've got a helper that does, you just have to redo some math. But it makes for a lot easier to read code. Slots locked. That's probably for boxes. In slot number less than 0 equals last item. Okay. Find topmost object. So this is going to be a little bit of a search down. To remove ID, get contained. If it's less than 0, except due to map corruption. So if we've gotten here, remove ID should be something. If numin greater than 0. Does it bail on numin? Get num contained. Is grid adjacent. Numin. So does this only get called on containers that are known to have contents? So this can apparently return negatives. This should never happen. Well, I guess if it was empty, then clearing it wouldn't really hurt. If there was more objects in there, you were holding nothing, and you can pick it up. Subcontain. We have get contained IDs. Oh, this is for backpacks, probably. Which I think... Or maybe we can... Yeah, that's backpack, we think. Set responsible player. Holding ID, remove contained. Bare hand actually results in something new in hand and nothing in the right. We removed something from a container. If so, it's a pickup action. Handle holding change, holding something new. It's not clear to me. Well, maybe it is in some of the removal code that... Ooh. This is like map or something? Map. If get num contained is 0, it simply returns 0. So that doesn't appear to do it. So what says... Well, maybe I should be looking at refreshing myself on what commands are sent. So if we come down here, we have an object that does not go in here. Oh. Base game doesn't swap. Okay. So if I do an SREV, if I do a drop action with a thing that is not containable, but if I do a drop action with something that is containable, it laughs at me. But it is still a drop action. So actually it's the drop code that can swap with containers. Or swap in general. Type equals drop. Holding ID greater than 0. If it's permanent, okay. Is grid adjacent. If you're holding something, if it's a baby, is map spot empty, can drop, and M. Drop onto clothing indicates right click, so swap. Non-baby drop. Dropped object. Get map target. If it's not equal to 0, stuck in their hand. Set down, type bare ground exists. Swap with held ground. But it seems like it does this first. And then it checks can drop, dropped object containable, can go in. Indicates they right-clicked on a container, so use swap mode. But why have we not swapped with object on ground? Oh, okay. If can drop and can't go in and not permanent, so this is in can drop, can't go in. So I don't see, well, so swap with, swap held with ground. Where do we do this? If target not equal to 0, this must be under some other case. Or I've missed a precondition. So what's M? M dot type. Oh, is this a parameter thing? M dot X, M dot Y. Map spot empty. Yeah, so this is clothing. Non-baby drop. Swap with held ground. Why is this down here? Permanent object with no place to drop it. Could I send, and we can just force this all the time and see what happens. Could I send a 0 to force the clothing path? And I don't know if I necessarily want this on the generic drop command, but could be interesting. Or treat that as like a remove from ground? Well, right. No, because remove wouldn't work, because that's going to be our swap. All right, so if we have a small object in hand and we do a drop with this, nope. Oh, well, this one doesn't even work. We can't drop things at all. Was that map? No, that was server. This is why I don't like these big functions. I'm sure it's more efficient. Maybe it makes more sense to JSON, but I have a really hard time following the high-level logic. Holding ID, and it's permanent. Well, it's not permanent. So is grid adjacent. Wait, what is this? Oh, this is the drop case. That's drop remv. Is grid adjacent, which is probably a precondition. Yeah, a precondition on the entire thing. Action attempt, facing override. Okay, we're holding something. It's not a baby. Empty spot. Oh, greater than or equal to 0. Less than num Oh, that trick only works if you're on the same spot. Which I think I had seen that working at the use on current space button that the other mod had. Nope. Then again, did I recompile already? What can I drop? Yes, I did. Now we know that this blocks us normally, so I'm going to have to do something different with messaging here. Or actually send a parameter or something. And then now we get into the case where like move near to actually means like move on top of if you're trying to do that. So pick up. Nope. Oh, but I swear. Oh, but I was trying to drop in the same space before. Okay, well. Can drop. Holding ID. Add held to close. Oh, it tries to go through here. Add the top worked. Oh. Non-baby drop. This might be some leftover code. We're holding something. We can drop it. It's not empty. That's checking the location stuff. Non-baby drop. Get map object. If it's not equal to 0. Oh, is this under... this is under can't drop? Can drop false only happens if you're holding a permanent object. This swap only occurs if said permanent object has a use on bare ground transition and the target object is not permanent. Then you can swap the permanent object in your hand with the thing on the ground. So that doesn't seem to be a path here. And the only other way is can drop, can't go in. No, wait a minute. What's can't go in? Is this like... Can drop. Dropped object is containable. Target slot size. Dropped object contain size. Target slots. target object num slots, target slot size, target object slot size, target slot size greater than dropped object. Oh, that's like size 1, size 2. Target slot size has to be greater than or equal to top object contain size. Okay, so one can go in, add the container, treat it as a use. Oh. Well, it just can go in. It's containable. It's less than size. It's just going to say add the container and consider it handled. So I don't know if there's going to be any way around that. So we've got this weird permanent object case. We've got can't go in. And those are the only ways to swap an object. Well, oh well. -1. We've got some possible refactoring to do. We've got, yeah, we could do, now that we've got some information, might be able to do some precondition checks to avoid some of the bouncy, weird behavior. So drop. You know what? Well, we have to get ourself to find out if we're holding something. Do I want to consider this handled if we're not holding anything? I wouldn't want to type if I was just attempting to drop something. No. I forget if it's held or holding. Might be holding. Yeah, holding ID. Greater than 0. Or actually, rather, if our hold object is equal to 0, I think it's just equal to 0, then break, we can't really do anything. It's a drop command. I mean, sometimes you kind of, like in the base game, it's just click, so you're used to kind of just doing anything to get over there. And the question is, what do you do if you just, okay, so I'm holding something, I'm not holding something, so there's no drop action to perform. Now what about so that will not perform a swap. Oop, didn't need to build that. Now we did determine that drop could swap for, well, if it could fit and didn't go in. Pick up. So this would probably be some sort of can't go in situation. So that does get the thing out of your hand. And then SREM with a non-containable should probably do the same thing. But is there another case that you would not want to even attempt the action? I mean, that'll swap, so that's kind of fine. Oh, that's actually a drop add as well. So right now we're saying if we're holding something, there's a thing there, it has containers, and it's less than max, we want to perform a drop for holding something. Right, because the drop performs the swap action. Oh, and this should only be performed on a container. The actual remove add action. I'm fine treating remove at as a pickup if it's just whatever. We want to say if we can't do anything, don't do something, which would be a, no, because this can pick stuff up. The case we want to look at now is if it's a non-container object, just, I guess we attempt this. No, we need to do a drop in that case. Else if our live object holding ID not equal to 0 and dest ID not equal to 0. Well, we've already determined that it is, would it just be able to say, and there's something there? I don't know if I should worry about non-container. Which actually just collapses these conditions out, if that's what we end up doing. We have a new player. All right, we were trying to pick this up and, okay, so that swaps. SREM, yeah, SREM on an empty tile should do nothing. We drop, pick up, drop, swap. Swap because we can. If we, yeah, because it's full. That's an SREM command, so that we try to pick up object within. Can't use it. Yes, there's still a few actions that I can't, like I can't do swap with ground. There is no server command that does that. That was one of the things I was hoping to get out of this, but c'est la vie. But we did get srem means like pick something up. Drop. So because it's a swap, I guess either of those makes sense. Use is a use. I'm still uncertain about use on empty. Because really, if I want to walk, I should walk. If I want to drop, I should drop. So maybe use on empty should be a no-op. So our other case was what? If dest ID is equal to 0, we should just do nothing. I mean, we could say break to just to say, hey, we're deliberately handling this. So now we don't care about this. We don't care about this, except for, the syntax. And both of these resolve to drop. So we don't need this. And now it's just, if we're holding something, we're going to attempt a drop command. So if there is something there, or if there's nothing there, don't do anything. If we're holding something and there's something there, we're going to attempt to swap inside or outside of it. Because drop actually does this exchange with container action. So this probably has to do with peculiarities, how the protocol evolved and meant different things at different times. And then if we have a bare hand, which I kind of want to swap these now. If we have a bare hand, try to pick things out of container. Otherwise, swap with it. Oop. Hey, we don't need this variable anymore. I mean, maybe we want to get picky about containers at some point. There was a warning. I could have left it there for a moment. All right. Okay, so pick up object. That's what we wanted. It's an empty tile, so this is a try to pick something up command in my mind. That picks up and swaps. If we pick up this, and a large object will swap. It doesn't do anything because it was an srem, which I think of as a pickup. Cool. That's a pickup. Doesn't do anything. Use command. Yeah, you need to use this. I think use command on an empty tile should do nothing. Well, we should STG refresh. So I guess the one thing I don't like about STG is you don't have commit comments, so to speak. So use command, and that means we have to do all of this stuff, which I might need to come back and abstract at some point. So if dest ID is not equal to 0, I think that will cover everything. Well, are there things that have true bare ground transitions besides the drop? Flooring. No, that's stakes. And the stakes you just drop, and then you use something else on it. There's ads that picks up flooring. And I mean, I've thus far been very careful to leave the clicks for the most part in base game form. So if all else fails, I can just go back to regular old clicks. And picking up flooring is a pretty rare case. I probably want to key for that at some point. All right. Yeah, that's an object that has no transition. Attempt to use, drop, attempt to use. There's an actual thing here. Drop it. And we have movement. Movement still needs a lot of work. I'm not sure I like a key for movement, which kind of puts me back to my move modifier if I want to be careful not to do things. But to get like mouse clicks be move only, I'd have to get to the point where I'm extremely confident in not needing default click mode. But maybe I make it like a modifier to do default click mode. And then the default click is move or something. And then this needs something to do auto run. Well, I kind of want to be holding things, but I have to like detect a double tap of move. And right now I've got that. Oh no, I've got an auto run flag. That's an intermod dependency or interpatch dependency. But now, oh, and the other thing is none of this. Well, screen lock is still screen lock. One nice thing about modifier mode is when I go into object mode, I can also lock at the same time. That's kind of a 2-for-1. I'm essentially going to have to be holding and doing keyboard actions to get lock mode now. This might be one of the reasons whatever went to a toggle lock mode, which could be a thing. All right. However, I think make sure all of this is up to date. Notes. I might need to do more review on that. We did not get to exam. We did not get to people. We did not get to backpack keys. Kills an extra special case. Watch animations is more of this. And move. Screen lock, auto run, which I still have the mouse for. And screen lock still has the space button. All right, so I'm going to want to set this up and copy one life. No, D games, one life. And to try playing today and see how it works out. And then I'm gonna go eat lunch, and then I will be back in. What am I even having today? Half hour-ish, if nothing comes up. got something pretty quick to eat. So thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. Thanks to, let me get this set up for next time. Thanks to Lost Scholar for the raid, bringing a bunch of friends. What do I got right now? And this is my typical schedule. Oh, yeah, some old video popped up. I'm going to see if it disappears on itself, or I may have to get rid of it because it's thrown off my schedule. And I guess, all right, nobody else playing One Life. Well, just because it's a special event going on. One of the streamers that I've followed for the longest is having a celebration marathon for meeting some goals. Right now, she is playing Guacamelee, which is a like side-scrolling beat 'em up with some interesting art and humor. And she's probably going to be, beating things up, getting beat up a lot. And she's a pretty cool person, pretty good chat. The only it is a followers-only chat, unfortunately. So if you want to get involved, it's a pretty tight community. You will have to follow if you want to join in. That's the only thing. But she's having a marathon. She's a cool person, always laughing and living through a difficult life. So if you're looking for someplace cool to hang out, that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and until next time.